So wagwan, wagwan, wagwan. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that's hey, what's up? Two former competitors on the Biggest Loser show, they resorted to weight loss surgery. Jessica Limpert and Ramon Medeiros. Some years back, they went on the Biggest Loser show. Jessica lost an impressive 80 pounds. She went down from 254 to 174. Ramon lost even more, 154 pounds. He went from 355 down to 204. And they both did this in 5 months. So that'd be extreme weight loss. Just as we spoke about the other day, can have some negative side effects, whether it's in your organs or other bodily functions, let's say. Cool thing is they didn't know each other before their show. They met, fell in love, got married, right? So they lost weight together. So it's pretty cool. And they maintained this for about 3 years. Then they started to gain some weight back, slowly but surely. As Ramon said, we would gain 100 pounds, then they would lose 80 to 100 pounds again. And then they would start getting it back. And they said it became harder each time with the yo-yoing up and down, right? At this point in time, you got to ask yourself, why would they resort to surgery, right? In those couple of years, they really ballooned up. Limpert actually got up to 358. So remember, she started at 254 on the Biggest Loser, went down to 174. Years later, she ended up at 358. Medeiros, Ramon started at 355, went down to 204, and he ended up at 385. So they're actually worse off than when they started, right? Now, they had weight loss surgery January of last year. And Limpert, Jessica, she's lost 156. She now weighs 202. And Ramon, he's down to 255, right? As one of them said, the magic of the weight loss surgery is when we have a little treat, we don't want to go back for more because we feel satiated. Could this be so simple? Why did the couple feel like to resort to surgery? Proverbial $1 million question, right? They did it the natural way, so why resort to surgery? Reading the interviews with them, they sounded frustrated at this point in time. The constant up and down, up and down, up and down. So they resorted to the surgery. The problem is, well, some people are successful with it. It's by and large, I would say from all the research I've done, it's not a good option, especially if you've not addressed the underlying root cause of the problem. Your stomach is shrunk, you have all these other limitations, the absorption of material, or you switch to some other form of addiction, especially if you didn't deal with the problems you had. If you're addicted to food, right? You couldn't control yourself before, then you may find some other addiction. They essentially said they'd given up. This is where, in my opinion, lack of knowledge can hurt some people, right? Because nowhere did I read that they were under some kind of really professional training, let's say. First, when they were on the Biggest Loser, they had training, but did they have mental training to deal with the post, all that rapid weight loss? Ramon said, we didn't really know how to accept our bodies, and we didn't really know how to gauge what we were feeding and seeing. So in our eyes, we didn't look the way we wanted to look, or things didn't happen what we thought was going to happen. It's almost like in these interviews, they're reaching out for help still. It reminds me of something my second coach told me. He said, if I keep comparing myself to bodybuilders, I'll be unhappy. As he pointed out to me, those people never miss cardio day. It's a job. They have incredible genetics. They have all the time in the world. They have professional coaches. This is why they look the way they look. It's not an accident. We all can't look like that. Now, if you compare yourself to the old you, or hell, just John Doe or Jane Doe, yeah, look better than most of them. For sure, you look better than the old you, and you'll be happy, right? That's one of the criticisms of the Biggest Loser, that they don't provide coaching post-show and mental coaching as well. Plus, losing it that fast is not healthy, as we've discussed before. Increase the chance of you probably regaining it. And even if temporarily your metabolism is messed up, because how many people know that they need to eat more food to lose weight? I mean, that was a shock to me the first time I heard it. This is where getting a professional would be useful. I'm surprised they didn't do that, since they would have had access to people like that. Or maybe they tried. I didn't see that anywhere that they had tried such people, to be honest. Where I feel they were most likely failing is the mental aspect, because they lost a ton of weight. They gained it, lost it again. So they clearly show that they can lose the weight, right? They didn't say what kind of diets they did or what exactly they did workout-wise. That was not shared. I couldn't find that online. But I'm suspecting that the mental aspect is the part that was missing, right? I know it was missing for me previously. If I want an ice cream cake sandwich, I eat it. I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. If I see myself going crazy on them, I'll then throw them in the garbage to control myself, so to speak. But I know if you try to restrict yourself for too long, eventually you'll snap, you'll break, and then you'll go on a bender. Better to have that glass of wine than say, you're never drinking again, and then go get drunk. I remember hearing an interview with a gentleman some years ago. He'd had weight loss, I believe it was the lap band he did. He sounded like a drug addict discussing a drug addiction, because for those who don't know, when your stomach is shrunk like that, right, if you try to eat too much food, you'll be in physical pain. And this man was talking how he would know this thing he was gonna eat was gonna make him in physical pain, it's gonna upset his stomach, and he would just suffer through it, because he hadn't changed his lifestyles. Even though he had shrunk, stomach physically was small and he couldn't eat more food, he would have shoved it down anyway. He would just take the consequences. Almost, again, it sounded like I was listening to an interview with a drug addict or something. He knows what he's doing is bad, but he can't help himself. And because you have a much smaller stomach now, it's harder to get nutrients in there, right? And studies show, the National Institute of Health, pretty well-established peer-reviewed type studies, that they have poor absorption of nutrients. It just changes the way your digestive tract works, right? It's not natural. The body wasn't made to be this way. We have thousands of years of evolution, right? It messes how they absorb calcium, vitamin D, and various nutrients. It's clear that it creates significant ongoing bone loss. Let me say that again. Significant ongoing bone loss. Then there's the excess skin. Of course, whether you lose it naturally or not, you're gonna have excess skin if you're morbidly obese. But when you lose it super quickly, you're gonna have more loose skin. Because at least if you lose it naturally and slowly, there is a good chance. I mean, I lost 65 pounds, put it back on, lost again. I don't have a ton of loose skin. Granted, I wasn't losing 200 pounds, but because it took me like 2 years to transform, my skin tightened up, etc., right? I'm sure you guys have seen some of these before and after pictures of people transforming, and the ones that take a couple of years I'm talking about. They might have loose skin for sure, but some of them you see no loose skin, right? And fixing that is expensive. Talking thousands of dollars here. And that can mess with you mentally. Some studies have shown it can lead to depression as a result of that. Then there's this thing called addiction transfer. Because if you don't address the root problem of how you got fat, right? It's just a band-aid approach. You remove this weight, but the lifestyle hasn't changed. So some studies have shown that some of these patients, weight loss surgery people, they're more likely to develop chronic drug use. I know. It's crazy, right? They just essentially become addicted to something else. Maybe it's not food now, it's a drug or alcohols. They actually show that as well. There's another study talked about this where they looked at people 1, 6, 24 months after surgery and found that they had an increased use of alcohol. So there are numerous bad things, and there's actually more bad things than that. It's stuff I can't remember off the top of my head. People tend to want to lose weight for a specific event instead of losing it for life. So they want a quick fix, not a lifestyle change. Those last 2 words, lifestyle change, that's the key. This is why when I lost 65 pounds, I got fat again. I did not make a lifestyle change. I thought I had, but I really did not. Like I was talking about earlier, you lose to look good or for an event, but then that's not enough. That's just not enough. It's not enough. I mean, even these people who do the surgeries try to get people to lose some amount of weight before they did the surgery. At least the fully transparent ones at any rate, because they know it's going to happen. And worst of all, I shouldn't say worst of all, one of the other problems is when you take away this fat, right, surgery. As far as your body is concerned, it's as if it had some kind of attack, a traumatic event. So this fat was taken out, stolen from it, and your body is like, we want that fat back. Give it back to us. So if your lifestyle is still bad, when you get that fat back, it's going to come back in bad places. It's going to go deep inside you, like maybe around some internal organs. So it's harder to lose, or it may come back in your face. You guys might have heard of these stories or seen it. Somebody did one of these, mummy makeovers, and they look worse than before they were fat. Because the fat comes back in their neck, their back, weird places. Then it becomes harder to lose. So you remember I mentioned earlier, they said it was getting harder to lose the weight. Every time they would go down, because they weren't going down 5, 10 pounds. They would say, go down 80, go up 100, go down and go up again. They're telling the truth. It was harder each time. They're messing with their metabolism, and the fat, every time the body brings it back, it's like, yeah, let's make it harder for you to lose this stuff. And they wouldn't know about overfeeding tactics. There's so much I'm sure they didn't know, because it appears they weren't being coached, right? Because you are determined to transform your body, you made it to the end of this video. To get more tips about how to look great and feel even better, check out one of these videos you see on the screen. I'm sure you'll enjoy them. So later's my massive. Me I go long now. For those who don't speak Jamaican patois, that's goodbye, my people.